Connecting, yeah. Radhe Radhe, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and also a very happy Lohri to people in India. It has already started. So, I'll get started with sharing the screen and we'll get going. Okay, I hope you can see my screen if anybody can confirm. Okay, I see a thumbs up. Radhe Radhe. All right, so today we are going to discuss verses number 16 and 17 from chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about regulation of bodily activities. But as always, first we will proceed with our prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsajanurmardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So once again, Radhe Radhe, welcome. And today, Radhe Radhe Shyamji, today we are going to start with some questions. First question, what should be the object of our meditation as recommended by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita? And for your ease, I'm going to give you some of the options. Light, natural sounds, daily task, or Krishna. Anybody who wants to take a guess or no from what we discussed earlier? I see something is coming in the chat. Okay, Pratusha has answered Krishna. Anyone else? Shamji. Yes, please. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Krishna, but obvious. Nahi?
But obvious. And do you also remember why? Why Krishna says like we should meditate upon him?
Ye nahi ध्यान. Not this.
Okay. Anyone wants to comment on that? Why do you think Krishna says that we should meditate upon him? Sri Ramya ji discussed this. Hello? Sorry. Okay, so let me just go ahead and say it's because when we get higher taste, we automatically reject all the lower taste, right? And taste of devotion and love for Krishna is the highest. So that's why he wants to give us the highest degree of happiness, and that's how we are going to get it. And also, he is the purest. If we meditate upon the purest, we will get purified. And again, that is what is the aim of our existence. Okay, second question. Kind of, I answered, but still, what should be the goal of our meditation? Again, as per what Krishna suggested in Bhagavad Gita. Again, options: developing focus in daily task, rejuvenating the body, attaining Krishna, improving our mental health. Who wants to answer this?
I would say attaining Krishna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Igna has also started. Great. Okay, thank you. And now, without a further ado, I will get to the shloka which actually talked about it, just to remind each one of us. So this was the shloka 6.14, which very clearly mentioned, as mentioned in the translation below, that we should meditate on Krishna and have him alone as our supreme goal. Okay. So with that, let's move on with few more questions. What does yoga mean and what is the opposite of yoga? This is relevant for today's discussion, hence I have brought this up. Who is it? Who's this? Somebody was trying to say something. What does yog mean and what is the opposite of yog? Can you also raise hand, whoever is trying to answer, so that I also know? I mean, you can say whatever you think it is. Don't worry, don't be scared. Okay, I see something coming in the chat. Yoga is to add divinity to whatever we do. Perfect. So yeah, yoga is the union between soul and the super soul, God. And essentially, if we live in the consciousness of God, we live in Krishna consciousness, then we are basically doing yoga in whatever we do. So what is the opposite of yoga that we end up doing all the time? Yeah, union with God, that's correct. But now what is the opposite of yoga? Oh, okay. Now people are answering. Right. Yeah, right. So that is what we are going to actually discuss today, like how to regulate our bhog in order to do yoga properly, or kind of become a good spiritual starter. Okay. And now one thing about this. So now if you want to really practice doing meditation, yoga, devotion, among these, which do you think are the necessary essential ingredients? A healthy mind. It could be more than one also. I just want to see what do you think is important. Money, free time, healthy body, a good guide or mentor for performing these activities, an isolated room, good music, or a smartphone. Anybody? Okay, let me see. A, healthy mind. Okay, that's what Kumarji says. Others? Shyamji, yes.
On the lighter side, all, but except money and free time, smartphone, good music. We all need these
Yeah.
healthy mind and healthy body, a good mentor, and if you can have a good room, then also it's good.
Great. Okay. That's useful. And I think I agree with you. Like I had thought about these options that for some person amongst us, one of these might be like the limiting factor. Like because of this, I'm unable to do my meditation, right? So I'm not saying any of this is ingenuine, but one of the things which is really, really important is what I'm going to focus on today, which is something I think all of us have picked is like D, healthy body. So, and usually what happens when we are a very naive beginner in spiritual practice, we tend to overstretch ourselves. Like an amateur spiritual practitioner who has just learned that we are not the body but the soul might in fact start saying that, okay, I'm not the body, I'm a soul, so I will just do spiritual activity 24 by 7. I'll forget about everything else, including maintaining my own body, right? And that is not the right attitude. And that's what Krishna is trying to teach us, that those who break the rules of bodily maintenance can never be successful in yoga. So there comes another story which stresses upon this point, and this is a story of Gautam Buddha before his spiritual enlightenment. So some of you might have already heard this story where you see there is this person playing an instrument called tanpura, which is a stringed instrument, like guitar basically. There are these ladies, group of ladies who are singing some song, and there is Gautam Buddha who is trying to practice meditation. And again, this is before his enlightenment. So he had given up eating, drinking, and was just sitting to do meditation for attaining enlightenment. And this is him being amateur, that he forgot about his body entirely. But after a few days, because of lack of nourishment, and of course, lack of sleep. His body became very weak and dizzy, and he was not even able to focus on meditation. And that's when these women were singing a song, and the lyrics of the songs were like following, that tighten the strings of the Tanpura only as much that it does not break, right? So those words entered the ears of Gautam Buddha, and then he said that these illiterate village women are singing such words of wisdom. They contain a message for us as humans that we should tighten our bodies. Yes, we should perform disciplined austerities, but only to the extent that our body is not destroyed. Okay. So I think by this, it must be amply clear to all of us that it is very important to take care of our body. So that's what Krishna is going to talk about in the next two verses. Um, and we will also now see why it is important and what is the role of our body in a real journey of the soul. So that's where our other scriptures have helped us giving some direction. So there is Charak Samhita, which says that the body is the vehicle for engaging in religious activity. And if the body becomes unwell, then our spiritual pursuits will also get impeded. Next is from Ramayana, uh, where it says, Tanu binu bhajan ved nahi varna. So even our Vedas do not recommend that we ignore the body while engaging in spirituality. In fact, they instruct us to take care of our body with the help of material science. And that's where I also got reminded of this, that you all know that we have four Vedas, and each of the Vedas have an accompanied book, which is the material science version, kind of material science given by our um, saints long back. So, for example, Ayurveda is a material science, like the science for healthy body and mind, right? So, that is an accompaniment, I think, of Yajurved, if I'm not wrong, but that anybody can correct me. But yeah, so that's why each of the four Vedas have an accompanying material science. So it's really, really important. And the Ishopanishad also states this, that those who cultivate only material science go to hell, but those who cultivate only spiritual science go to an even darker hell. So let's try and understand this, that if we are just trying to, like, that's amateur seeker, if you're trying to be that way and forgetting about our vehicle, which is a gift of God, this body is a gift of God for us to achieve our purpose, right? And if we do not take care of this gift, then our existence purpose will not be fulfilled and we will suffer with great miseries. Okay, so with that background and context, we will enter into reading and understanding the Bhagavad Gita verse, and just reminding oldies and the newbies that we are actually learning from four different commentaries. We are kind of combining information from four different commentaries and trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita that way. Okay. So now we will recite the shloka, and maybe one or two people can recite it after me. So first I'll read it. नातिश्नस्तस्तु योगोऽस्ति न चैकान्तमनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन. Anyone who wants to recite? Trying to practice? You can practice while reciting. Ratushadi, yes. Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya. Radhe Radhe everyone. Okay. Natyashnastastu yogasthi न चैकान्तमनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन.
Wonderful. Radhe Radhe. Shyamji?
Radhe Radhe. Nate Shantastu Yogasti Nache Kanta Manashanataha नाचाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Yes. So the translation essentially means that yoga or yog, the practice of yoga, cannot be successful for those people who are either eating too much or too less, or sleeping too much or too less. So what is required is moderation, balance, and regulation. And we will understand different parts of the shloka. So we will dissect it and we will see what does different parts of it mean or saying. Yeah. So the first part says that yoga is not possible for those who are eating too much. So why? Because when we eat too much, then we will be thirsty as well, as much. We'll be drinking as much water. There'll be heavy stomach, there'll be digestion issues, and with all of that, with that diseased body, with that dull and lazy body, we will not be able to focus our mind in meditation or any spiritual practice for that matter. So yoga is not possible. Second part is those who are eating too less. So when we are eating too less, when we will try to sit for meditation, our mind will only think about food, and our body will be so weak that we will not even have enough energy to sit and do any such practices, right? So again, concentration is not possible, yoga is not possible. Third part, sleeping too much. So when we sleep too much, our body becomes dull, idle, lazy. And then if we are trying to sleep more than what our body needs, then our sleep will also not be sound, and we will get so many thoughts generated, which can happen in form of dreams and many other things. And with that, that oversleep will become hindrance in our practice of meditation. And last but not the least is undersleep, which is obvious that if we are not sleeping enough, then we will feel drowsy while practicing anything and we cannot practice meditation. I think this is very obvious. So with that, so this is basically the three kind of pillars of our bodily health, which is exercise, diet, and sleep. And that's what Krishna has also emphasized upon, that we need to be taking care of all three of them and maintaining a balance. And in order to do that, we of course have material science. So material science and spiritual science go hand in hand. They are not anti or contradictory to each other. Material science is needed for our body, and spiritual science is needed for our internal state, right? And hence we need to balance both external and internal together. So that's what Sri Krishna has also emphasized in this shloka, that we need to be taking good care of our body by eating fresh, nutritious food, doing daily exercise, and getting the right amount of sleep every night. So now coming to the next shloka, I am just covering both of them together because they are related to each other, which we will understand when we read it. युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. Anyone who wants to practice recitation? Yes, Pratushadi, please go ahead.
Okay. युक्ताहारविहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः.
Thank you. Shri Ramya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
युक्ताहारविहारस्य युक्तचेष्टास्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I just saw a message in the chat, which is a correction for me. So thank you, Ravi ji. So yeah, Ayurveda is supplementary material science Upaveda for Atharved, not Yajurved. So that is a correction. Okay. So again, now looking at this shloka, this means that who, so it's basically talking about 4 different things. One is eating, ahar. Second is vihar. Vihar is recreation. Third is karm, which is work. And fourth is sleep. So, swapnava bodhasya. So, a person who is regulated in all these 4 activities, which is eating, sleeping, recreation, and work, that person can mitigate all the material pains by practicing the yoga system, right? So again, emphasizing on the fact that regulation and balance of these activities is essential for getting rid of all material pains, which one can only get rid of by practicing the yoga. Okay, I see Shri Ramyaji's, your hand is raised. Is it from before or you raised it? Okay,
No,
awesome. Okay, no problem. Now let me move forward. So again, dissecting the shloka. Yuktahar viharasya. So food should be earned by honest means. So yukt means appropriate, right? So it should be pure, easily digestible, light, and a bit less than necessary. So here comes a suggestion from Shankaracharya ji. So he had given a formula for how much should we be eating. So he said, like, first, try and identify how much food do you think is needed to suffice your bodily need. Once you identify the amount, then divide it into 4 parts and take 2 parts of it as solid food, 1 part of it as liquid food, and 1 part don't eat. So basically that is, so we should, it's in qualitative terms, it said we should eat less than what we think is the capacity of our body, right? And he had kind of given a formula to decide on how you should. So so basically that's what is said here. The ordinance of scriptures and Ayurveda, um, one should be eating as per what our scriptures and Ayurveda recommend. And recreation such as physical exercise, walking, should be also resorted to being moderate. And now this includes every kind of physical activity that we engage in. Okay, then yukta cheshtasya karmasu. All actions should be performed according to one's caste, creed, country, condition, and capacity, following the ordinance of the scriptures and happily for the welfare of others. So basically, whatever task we do, that should be well suited to our environment and our personality. But the bigger part is like it should be for the welfare of the society and humankind at large. So because the word used everywhere is yuk, and yuk means appropriate, right? So that's where appropriation is coming. Then next is about sleeping. So one should be moderate in sleep. He should remain awake in the day, go to bed early at night, and rise early in the morning. So that is what the term avabodhasya mean, which means wakefulness. So it has a special meaning. Now wakefulness is to do with spiritually also being awakened around the purpose of our existence. So our each and every moment is very, very special and precious, right? So a striver should be spiritually aroused as this human life has been bestowed upon us for a bigger purpose. And the term yuk means that similar rules do not apply to all the persons for diets, recreation, action, sleep, and wakefulness. So basically, that's why Krishna has chosen this word instead of defining any numbers, right? That, okay, you should sleep for 4 hours a day or 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day. No, it is appropriate to your environment and your body type. But what is important that we should be leading the right consciousness, that that what is the purpose of our existence should always be running in the back of our mind. So basically, we should be spiritually aroused and awakened. Last part is, does the yoga of a yogi who's moderate in diet, recreation, etc., brings about a cessation of the toil and troubles of the world? So, if we are following these 4 activities in a regulated manner, we will be able to rise above the negative conditioning of the world, because our happiness will not be dependent upon material seeking. We will not be a bhogi anymore. We will become a yogi, right? Okay. Next is another formula which was given in the Sadhak Sanjeevani Bhagavad Gita commentary. So here basically 24 hours are divided into 4 different parts. So we talked about like 4 kinds of activities, right? So those 4 kind of activities, one can probably think of them as 4 different parts of our day, that we can engage in 4 different activities. So 6 hours for say recreation, physical exercise, eating. 6 hours for actions, the karma that we do, say livelihood. Um, so this is right now just equal distribution. We will come to what is the optimum way of distributing these. But with equal distribution, we can divide it into 6 hours for each of the activities, like sleep, physical engagement, earning livelihood or any kind of actions that we perform, and 6 hours of wakefulness, which could include remembrance of God, meditation, chanting, practices towards our ultimate goal. Okay. So now this is like just equal division. But what was recommended here was in the form of a finance management. So what is there in finance? You have earning and you have expenditure. So here we are talking about 2 kinds of capitals. One is worldly riches, like material stuff that we engage in, and other is mental engagement, or as we age, how is our mind, what is it that we are earning for our mind? Right now, I'm just using the word mind loosely, but effectively it's for the soul. So as we are aging, what is the income and what is the expenditure? So first we look on the left. In terms of worldly engagement, when we are engaging in any physical activity or when we are eating, we are in some sense doing the expenditure. And when we are doing our work, earning livelihood, we are doing the earning. It's the income. So what is recommended here? Ki one can devote 4 hours to eating and recreation. So expenditure in worldly section can be given 4 hours, and the remaining 8 hours can be dedicated to income part. Like, so mostly the kind of, livelihood we do from our body, it's an 8-hour work that we participate in, right? So that is the kind of division. Now looking at the mental engagement part, now here the income, let's talk about the expenditure first. So one can think of 6 hours for sleep, like as a spiritual beginner, I would say, or whatever your body's demands are. There's nothing fixed here, but equal division could be something one could consider starting with, like 6 hours for sleep and 6 hours for wakefulness towards your spiritual goal, which would include all sorts of activities that we do in terms of our mental engagement, which is what is described here. So, here it said 4 hours of sleep. Of course, people who are advanced, some people manage like with 2 hours of sleep as well. But again, as Krishna has said, we should not be forcing our bodies against what they can tolerate, right? So understanding where you stand, what is it that your body can comfortably do, accordingly, we should be distributing our finances of all these kinds, right? But what is important, that we need to remember our purpose, that what is it for which we have taken our birth, and accordingly utilize our every moment towards it. So, like this is a suggestion, like we should remember God while earning. So one thing is like, okay, we are saying only these 6 hours of wakefulness are the time dedicated for remembering God. But the other thing is what we have learned in Karma Yoga, right? Whatever you do, offer it to God, remember God. So that way we can make like all the 24 hours God conscious. So that's what is said. Even before, while you're earning your livelihood, be in Krishna consciousness. While you're going to go to bed, think about Krishna. When you are waking up, think about him. So that way you can devotionalize each and every activity of the life, and everything becomes parts and parcels of one's worship. So one such example is given in terms of eating food. Okay, so how should we eat food? First of all, there is a long discussion that one can have regarding what should be eaten as food. But right now we don't have a lot of time to discuss that. So I'm just talking about like things which we kind of, I think, mutually might agree on, that things such as fruits, grains, milk, and vegetables, which are sattvic food that we say plan on eating. One can add tulsi leaves on it and first offer it as a bhog to Krishna. Why? Because that itself will purify this food from all sorts of sins. There is nothing in this world which is free from sins. Even if I'm speaking right now, there are many, many live bacteria which are getting killed, right? So every time, whatever we do, we are always performing sins. We are hurting someone or the other, right? So the only way to get rid of those sins is to offer with the purest intention to Krishna whatever we do as prasad, and then accept it as his prasad. So that gets purified. So that's what is like mentioned here. Like even if it is pure vegetarian food, it involves some degree of harshness with the plants as well as the animals from where, say, the milk is extracted, right? So in order to nullify that which has happened unintentionally, when we offer it to Krishna, all sins go away and we eat the food as prasad or the mercy of the Lord. So in terms of its visible appearance, it's the same, but the consciousness has completely changed it. And that is the idea of leading a sattvic life, and that is how one should be eating food, which will really uplift us spiritually. If we eat food in this manner, then we will be able to become yogi, is what is the suggestion, right? And just one more reference to why offering this kind of food to Krishna, or what is it that Krishna eats. He himself mentions in Bhagavad Gita verse 9.26 that patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. So if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So he has very clearly mentioned it, and that's what we are supposed to do, and eat everything as his prasad. Okay, and now just I will talk about some very, very high ideals for us that we can strive to reach in this practice. So one ideal, of course, is, so like we were talking about, we cannot perform asceticism because it is, our body cannot handle it, right? But only cases where the body can handle asceticism is bhakti, is devotion. Where someone, because again, as we discussed, it's the higher taste. Only when one has tasted that higher thing, there is nothing that can limit. So that is also love, right? Bhakti, prem, devotion, where you can actually dissolve yourself completely. That is the power of bhakti. So that's what is said. So people who have sattvic disposition, who have practiced this kind of lifestyle, regulated lifestyle for many, many years, and have become yogis, they, when get into bhakti, they enjoy the nectar of devotion so much that they don't feel drowsy. They always remain awake even throughout the night. Even if they don't sleep, that doesn't affect them at all, because they are just enjoying the higher taste. and they have transcended the three modes of nature. So we are talking about, like established yogis, or we are talking about God realized souls. Only they can transcend the three modes of nature. Otherwise, each one of us will always be falling into the combination of sattva, tamas, and rajas, or the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? So, yeah, so basically, for devotees who are in love, they will be chanting loudly, they'll be in remembrance of God constantly, and they then rise above hunger and sleep needs, so that's a very high ideal for us to strive for. Or maybe some of us have already reached there, but I am talking from my perspective. Okay, and moving forward, so there are just two examples of two elevated devotees that I'll give. So, and from their perspective, like sleep is also very regulated. In fact, they don't want to waste time oversleeping in their own terms. So they call it avyarth kalatvam. So Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass even a minute of their life without being engaged in the service of Lord. So they keep their sleep also to minimum from that perspective. So one of the example is Rup Goswami. He is a very popular acharya who was a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in fact, this picture shows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rup Goswami. So he could not even sleep more than 2 hours a day. Why? Because he would see that sleeping more than that is wasting my time, which is meant for the service of my Lord. Second example is of Haridas Thakur. So in this picture, again, he was also a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Haridas Thakur was very, very humble, and he had gone through so many hardships in his life, but had always retained his devotion and love for God and love for all the souls, which is, a natural consequence. So in this picture also, he's being held after his death. His body was held by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his own laps. So yeah, he would also not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routines. So he was so dedicated to following his practice, which was like chanting 300,000 times a day. Unless that happened, he will not engage in serving his body at all. So these are like another level of people. For us, in order to reach here at some point of time, we need to focus on our bodily needs as well, and but ensure that that is done in a very regulated manner. So, and the work is also seen as everything connected to Krishna and being offered to Krishna. So for them, that Vivek Buddhi has developed to another level, right? So they know what needs to be done and how. So there's no question of sense gratification or bhog. So there is no, so once a person reaches at this level, then material miseries are in no existence, because they are not engaging in material world for pleasures for themselves. They are using them as tools for serving the Lord. So it's a very different kind of consciousness. So with that, this particular discussion on the two shlokas is complete, and good that we have time. So first we can have like little bit of discussion. If anybody wants to say anything, ask anything, correct anything, give any input. And after that, I have a small segment on discussing a beautiful story of a very inspiring devotee, which we can do after our discussion. Yes, Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya. When you spoke about Haridas Thakurji Namacharya, it just reminded me of a small story which I happened to listen when as part of the Puri trip. So Harita, is it okay to share now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu morning, it used to be his routine. He used to wake up, he used to go take bath, have the darshan of Jagannath ji from a distance, and then have the prasad. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after eating whatever the remains, he used to send to Haridas Thakur ji. He said that nobody else has a right on this except Haridas Thakurji, and it would be afternoon or late, and Haridas Thakurji would accept that, and he would eat only that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prasad for a day, and that would be his one-time meal. And one day when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had sent the prasad, Haridas Ji Thakur didn't accept, and he said that I was not well and I couldn't finish my 300,000 nam jap, so I'm not going to eat it. And he just did a namaskar to the prasad and he sent it back. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hears this, he comes running and he says, "You are Namacharya, you don't have to do all this, and please eat." And Haridas Thakurji, he knows that, he wants to leave his body. So he will tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I have only one wish. I tolerated a lot of things that happened to me, like people hit me on the road, threw me into the river. It was ordered that he should be hit until he's dead. But the people who are beating him, they pleaded him, if we don't beat you till death, we will be dying. So you pretend to be death. I endured all that, but I never asked anything in my life. Now, in this stage, I ask only one thing in my life. My wish is that you carry me in your arms. I should be listening to the bhajans and I should be looking into your eyes and leave my body. That is my wish. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he arranges for a Nagar Sankirtan. He invites everybody and he carries Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his arms, and the Nagar Sankirtan will be going on. Haridas Thakurji, he'll be looking into Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's eyes, and as part of the Nagar Sankirtan, he leaves the body. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him a samadhi also. That is also there in Puri. Like very, very fortunate to happen to be to that place. So when you said Haridas Thakurji, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was carrying, it reminded me of that story. So just thought of sharing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. In fact, yeah, I think I read about this part, like how harsh treatment he had received from the other communities. And you just completed the story beautifully around why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lifted him and how his final departure was conducted like in the most devotional manner. So, yeah, our aspirations. Okay. With that, should I start sharing the screen for the next segment? Okay. Oh, this is this one only. Wait. What do you see? Can
Screen
some-
Not
loading.
the slide.
Sorry?
Not slide.
I
No?
see that screen has
Means
started
just
sharing.
update, upload.
Oh, is it? Wait, let me. Why is it showing problem? Okay. Okay, in the I think now I should work. Now?
We can see.
Okay. I don't know why I'm having technical challenges. I'm just trying to move to make it full screen, but this is yeah. Now you can see full screen, I guess, right? Okay, sorry
Yes.
for the technical problems, but now we can get started. So today we are going to hear about the story of Ram Das Charmkar. So Charmkar is a word used for cobbler. So this is a story of a simple, humble, hardworking cobbler who managed to please Lord Krishna wonderfully. Have any of you heard about Ramdas? I mean, I think some of you might already, but yeah, Shriramya ji have heard. Okay. Okay, let me just move forward given the time. Then we can have discussion. So Ramdas ji, he used to live in South India, in a town called Kanakwati on the banks of Godavari. And Like as I mentioned, he was a cobbler. He was extremely poor. He did not even have proper clothes to wear. His daily earnings fed his family. So he was a grihast and he was taking care of his responsibilities, but with complete dependence upon Krishna. So every day, day by day, he used to earn and spend in taking care of his family as well as in offering service to other people around him. So he also used to get an opportunity to sit in the satsang, but being like, because he used to belong to a lower, so-called lower caste, so he would, sit really at the back, and he was also not educated, so he will not be able to understand every word which was spoken during the satsang. But whenever he would hear the kirtan and the praises of God in songs, he would just start dancing. And sometimes what a beautiful statement will come out of his heart, which is, Hey Hari, main jaiso taiso tero, which basically means that, oh my Lord, whatever kind of person I am, good, bad, whatever qualities or bad things I carry, I just totally belong to you. I'm entirely yours. So this was his innocence, and he would just repeat this all the time in his mind and even externally. So he was a very innocent devotee, and he liked this line so much that he will just continuously hum this line. So with this, he had connected himself with God, and his mind had become like really pure. Remember, we discussed that the goal of meditation or the object of meditation, if is Krishna, then our mind will be purified. And essentially, what this person was doing all the time was meditation upon Krishna. So, in fact, so much so that he would shed tears also while humming this line for the God. So then what happened? One day he was just doing his task, and there were some thieves who had theft at a person's house, where there was also a shaligram of Krishna, which was kept on a golden throne. So the thieves took the golden throne and sold it off, but they did not find any use of the shaligram. For them, it was just a stone. So what they thought that they could exchange that in 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 exchange of some new shoes from the cobbler, and they could just offer that stone to the cobbler for sharpening his tools. So they went to Ramdas ji and they asked him that, would you mind giving us new shoes and just take this stone? This stone will be very useful for you to sharpen your axe, like your tools. And he, being an innocent person, he just agreed, and he gave the new shoes and received the stone. For him, it was just a stone, not like Shaligram, in exchange. Then he would sharpen. So what he would do, he would perform all his daily tasks. He would keep remembering that statement, "Oh Hari, jaiso taiso main tero," and he would use this stone to sharpen his tools. Now, how he would use it is that he would put the stone in between his 2 feet so that he can get a tight hold on the stone, and then he will keep sharpening the tools. But while doing this, he was consciously remembering God, and he was also shedding tears. So in that process, his tears were also falling on this stone while he was holding the stone through his feet. So while all of this was happening, once a saint visited his shop for getting his shoes repaired, and that's when he saw some signs on this stone, and the saint realized that this is not an ordinary stone, but this is a shaligram. This is God's form. So he was absolutely shocked to see that this uneducated cobbler is actually mistreating the form of God in such a way. And he was very angry. But then he said that even if I try to explain this to this person, he doesn't have enough intellect to understand that this is God and it should not be treated this way. This person may not even know how God should be treated. So I'll simply take away this stone from him and I'll give God the right treatment. So he decided to take it away, and he asked basically the cobbler for the stone, and the cobbler was like, okay, I received it for free. I mean, not for free, but he being an innocent person, he just gave it when the saint asked for it, the priest asked for it. So when this priest took the stone back home, he did, the Panchamrit Abhishek, like the way it is described in our scriptures, you should be treating God, or you should be doing worship, the ritualistic worship to God. So he was doing that, but the God was not pleased, and he came in the dreams of this priest, and as a Vaishnavite, and asked him to return his shaligram back to the same cobbler, to Ramdas ji. And then, this priest asked him, why are you saying so? He was mistreating you, he was putting you in the feet, and, he was rubbing the tools on you. And that's when Krishna says that, the kind of love I could feel being there when his tears were touching me or they were falling upon me, they were much, much more valuable, precious, and deep than what this Panchamrit Abhishek is doing to me. So that actually awakened this priest as well. And following the commandment of Krishna, he went back to this guy to return the shaligram. And that's when he went to meet him, he saw that this person, Ramdas ji, was just crying out loud and saying the same statement, Jaiso Taiso Hari Mein Tero. And then he returned and he told him, the priest told Ramdas ji that this shaligram is real Krishna, and he came in my dream and asked me to return it to you because he really liked being with you. And as soon as Ramdas ji realized that this is the reality, he couldn't control his tears, because he felt that I'm the worst person who was mistreating Krishna like that. But at the same time, he also had a desire that Krishna is all merciful. So if he really loves me, can he not come and give me his darshan? So I hope everybody is on board. So basically, then he requested for Krishna's darshan, and Krishna doesn't give darshan just like that, right? So he took a test. He came in the form of a devotee and told Ramdas ji that this is not right, that you are asking the God for appearing. The God doesn't appear before great yogis and sages, even after their penance for years. So how will God appear before a common man like you? So listen to me, leave this talk of seeing God, do your job, engage in devotion only for some time of the day. But then Ramdas ji was like, I know I am not worthy of seeing God, but what can I do? I am not able to live without him. And he is an ocean of mercy. So he has to come and see me, meet me. And, he started dancing. And basically, Krishna could feel his emotion, and he gave him the darshan. And he explained that, I wanted to see how much you loved me. And seeing his beautiful form, Ramdas ji drowned in the ocean of joy and understood that all this while God only was talking to him. So basically, the conclusion of this story is that God meets his devotees every day in different forms, and only we need to recognize. And he comes in some form or the other and teases his devotees, test. So basically, he's testing us each and every day. And that's why we need to, like maintain practicing remembrance and trying to see him everywhere, and be in our best attitude. We have heard of this bhajan, pata nahi kis roop mein aakar Narayan mil jayega. So that is reality. So that's what it's basically about, remaining in Krishna consciousness and with all purity and innocence. That's what we can learn from this elevated devotee. whose name is Ramdas ji. So I think with that, yeah, there are two links that I can share on the group, in which these stories are beautifully described. This is a YouTube link where Premanandji have described this story, and this is a like the same. They have like a written description of the entire story, both in Hindi and English languages, so anybody can read it. So I'll share these links, and with that, I'll stop sharing. So this was the story of cobbler Ramdas ji. And wow, we have just 3 more minutes to 10. Anybody last words? I said a lot. Okay, Kumar ji. Okay, thank you, Pratusha di. Yes.
It's a beautiful story. I have heard this from Premanandji, and it was amazing. It's one of my most favorite stories. Thank you for bringing it, and thank you for all the bugs, Jared. Like, it's so wonderful. You dip yourself into that, sugary syrup of devotion. It's
Yeah, this is a blessing,
beautiful.
right? Like I am so looking forward to next week. I don't even know who is going to be our next week's inspiration, but I'm already excited about learning about another saint's story. And there's so much for us to learn from. And
Yeah.
we are learning more and more what is it that Krishna loves. So yeah.
Yeah. And also, I was just connecting it with today's shloka that if anybody is struggling in maintaining our diet or sleep or work or anything, just say this, Oh Hari, मैं जैसे तेरी शक्ति तो.
Such a powerful line, right? Awesome. Great. So, with that, I think we can close this, and thank you all for your time and presence. And see you all next Saturday for Srimad Bhagavatam discussion, and Sunday again for Bhagavad Gita. So, thank you. Radhe Radhe. Happy Lodi once again.
Happy Lohri. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Radha.
Yeah.